Prince William has made a decision that changes everything.
Decision came from William. I've spoken with sources who were present during the discussions that led to this announcement, and what they describe is William presenting his father with a stark choice: sacrifice Harry now, or watch the institution hemorrhage legitimacy for another decade.
This is no longer about family tension, strained relationships, or the possibility of reconciliation. What is unfolding is a calculated effort to remove Prince Harry from the operational structure of the monarchy entirely. Not symbolically, not emotionally, institutionally. The direction is clear, the intent is firm, and the outcome is being engineered to leave no room for reversal. This is not a pause or a cooling off period. It is a move toward formal definition. Harry's status is no longer being left vague or conveniently unanswered. It is being clarified in a way that strips ambiguity from the system itself. He would still exist by blood, but not by function. His name may remain in lineage records, but his role in the working monarchy is being erased. What makes this moment so significant is that the push is not driven by sentiment. It is strategic. The concern is not how this looks emotionally, but how the monarchy survives structurally. The logic is simple and ruthless. An institution built on continuity cannot operate while one of its most visible figures openly monetizes its inner workings. You cannot claim royal privilege while rejecting royal discipline. That contradiction has become unsustainable. For years, the palace relied on uncertainty as a defensive shield. Is Harry in or out? Could he return? Might there be reconciliation?
A family row anymore. This is institutional surgery.
And so he became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his relationships, never thinking that they could have something to do with himself. So he's a very complicated, depressed,
That silence was deliberate. Ambiguity allowed the institution to avoid escalation while public attention drifted elsewhere. But ambiguity stopped working the moment private family matters became public commodities. What once protected the monarchy began to undermine it. The core problem is not personal betrayal, it is exposure. The monarchy's remaining authority depends on mystique, the unspoken agreement that certain things happen behind closed doors and stay there. Once those doors were opened to global audiences, the foundation cracked. Silence, once a strength, became a liability. Behind the scenes, contingency planning has already shifted. In scenarios the public never hears about, the darkest, most sensitive situations institutions quietly prepare for, Harry is no longer part of the operational equation. Not consulted, not included, not accounted for, this is not ceremonial sidelining, it is functional exclusion. The system is being designed to operate as though he does not exist. This distinction matters. Punishment implies emotion. This is risk management. Once protocols like these are finalised, they do not soften with time or apology. They do not reopen for sentiment, they harden. Institutions do not undo legal architecture because feelings change. The contrast between father and son at the top of the monarchy is striking. The king carries visible weight. This is a parent confronting the reality that preserving the crown may require sacrificing a personal bond. That toll shows in posture, demeanour and presence. The air, by contrast, appears settled, calm, not triumphant, but resolved. This was never an emotional decision for him. It was structural. One of the most telling signals is subtle. In certain internal discussions, Harry's name is reportedly avoided altogether, not formally banned, simply excluded. As though mentioning it risks reopening instability the institution is trying to suppress. That is not policy. That is institutional trauma response. It reveals how deeply trust has been damaged behind palace walls. The palace attempted restraint first. Silence, distance, dignified non-engagement. But those tools were designed for another era, a time when the most disruptive act a disaffected royal could commit was a single interview. That era is gone. Global platforms, streaming deals, publishing contracts, and constant media access changed the equation completely. Every leaked conversation, every private letter made public, every family grievance turned into content was not merely personal drama. It became a structural threat. You cannot sell the inner workings of a constitutional monarchy and then expect it to shield you from the consequences. The system depends on discretion to function at all. This is why the current move is so absolute. The question is no longer whether Harry can return. That door has already closed. The objective now is to ensure he cannot disrupt the institution again. Not now, not later, not indirectly, not through interviews, not through media projects, not through lingering ambiguity. Under the framework being prepared, Harry would exist only in the narrowest technical sense. Legally present, operationally invisible. Succession planning, representation, and institutional continuity would bypass him entirely. The machinery of the monarchy would move forward as though he were not there. This approach carries serious risk. When the decision becomes public, transparency will not automatically generate sympathy. Legal clarity can appear cold when stripped of humanity. Younger audiences, in particular, may see this not as constitutional necessity, but as institutional cruelty dressed in formal language. The reaction outside Britain could be even harsher. In the United States especially, the monarchy is increasingly viewed not as charming tradition, but as an ancient power structure enforcing loyalty through exclusion. A formal move of this magnitude would reinforce that perception instantly. Those risks are understood, and yet the decision stands. A calculation has been made that clarity is more valuable than affection, that survival is worth the cost of exile, and that future stability outweighs present backlash. Another decade of leaks, speculation,
understood, probably not even now, is that when she was chaired as a working royal, it wasn't because she was Meghan Markle, it was because she represented British royalty and all the values of the Queen and all the tradition and 1,000 years of history. So people were cheering not just the person, but also
An internal contradiction was judged more dangerous than a clean break. In this framework, Harry is not being erased emotionally. He is being erased structurally. The protocols skip him. The contingency plans ignore him. The institution moves forward as though he does not exist. Present in blood, absent in function. This is not symbolism, it is surgery. On paper, the monarchy may emerge stronger. Succession lines will be clean. Authority will be unambiguous. The system will be protected from internal disruption. But institutional strength does not automatically translate into public loyalty. History will judge whether this decision preserved the monarchy or exposed its limits, whether decisiveness ensured survival or revealed a cost too high to justify. The choice has been made. Certainty over compassion, stability over reconciliation, the crown over the brother. What happens next will not be decided inside palace walls. It will be decided by public judgment. Because institutions can survive amputation, but they do not always survive how that amputation is remembered. Prince Harry is no longer merely distant. He is being removed from the machinery itself. And now the monarchy faces its final test. Not whether it can endure the surgery, but whether it can live with the scar.
William is a very strong-minded guy. You know, he's not someone you want to mess with. He's not someone you want to cross.
Far less certain, and a monarchy that survives against the moral intuitions of its people is a monarchy living on borrowed time. However ancient the lineage, however elaborate the ceremonies, however technically correct the constitutional logic, William has made a bet. The bet is this, that institutional clarity is more valuable than familial warmth, that the monarchy's survival justifies the sacrifice of a brother, that future generations will judge this decision as necessary rather than cruel. We won't know if he's right for decades, perhaps longer, but what we do know is this: